The distress call came through at 300 hours. Piercing the silence of Dr. Marcus Hale's cramped quarters on Cairo Station, he fumbled for his comm device, squinting at the harsh blue light. "Doc, we need you at Base 7. Now." The station commander's voice carried an edge Marcus had never heard before. "And Doc? Bring your heavy sedatives. All of them." Marcus dressed quickly, his mind racing through possibilities. In his 3 years as the station's only xeno-veterinarian, he'd treated everything from Rigelian sand crawlers to Andromedan plasma whales. But the commander's tone suggested this was different. Bay 7 was typically used for quarantine. As Marcus approached, he noticed the entire corridor had been evacuated. A squad of armed security personnel stood at attention, their weapons trained on the sealed door. "What's in there?" Marcus asked, medical kit slung over his shoulder. The commander, a grizzled Centaurian named Crix, fixed him with 4 amber eyes. A Veerrath, wounded, dying, probably. Marcus felt his blood run cold. Veerrath. The name alone was enough to clear entire sectors of space. The species was legendary. Massive wolf-like predators from the death world of Carnath Prime standing 3 meters at the shoulder, with obsidian claws that could slice through starship hulls and an intelligence that bordered on sapient. They were apex predators in the truest sense, and encounters with them rarely ended well for anyone. "How did it get here?" Marcus asked, already checking his sedative reserves. "Smugglers. They were transporting it in stasis when their ship malfunctioned. The beast broke free, killed 2 of them, but not before they managed to shoot it. Multiple plasma burns. It collapsed in our docking bay." Crix paused. "Galactic Council wants it eliminated. I'm giving you 10 minutes to assess whether it can be saved." "Your call, Doc." Marcus nodded and stepped toward the door. His hands trembled slightly, not from fear but from the weight of the decision ahead. The Veerrath were rare, possibly endangered. Killing one felt wrong, regardless of their reputation. The door hissed open, and Marcus entered the bay. The creature lay in the center of the chamber, a mountain of midnight black fur streaked with silver. Its breathing was labored, each exhale producing a sound like distant thunder. The plasma burns were extensive, covering its left flank and hindquarters, angry red wounds that wept clear fluid. But what struck Marcus most were its eyes. Even in agony, they burned with an intelligence that was unmistakable. The Veerrath watched him enter, its lips pulling back to reveal fangs the size of Marcus's forearm. Marcus raised his hand slowly, showing he carried no weapons. "Easy," he said softly, knowing the creature probably couldn't understand standard. "I'm here to help." The Veerrath growled, a subsonic rumble that rattled Marcus's bones. But it didn't lunge, didn't attack. It simply watched, assessing. Marcus had treated aggressive animals before. The key was reading body language, understanding pain responses. He activated his medical scanner, keeping his movements slow and deliberate. The readings made him wince, severe tissue damage, infection beginning to set in, possible damage to internal organs. Without treatment, the creature had maybe 6 hours. "I need to approach you," Marcus said, still speaking in that calm, measured tone. "I need to treat those burns. I know you're scared. I know you're hurt. But I'm not your enemy." He took a step forward. The Veerrath's growl intensified, but Marcus noticed something. The creature's ears weren't fully flattened. Its tail, massive and scarred, twitched but didn't thrash. Pain, yes. Fear, certainly. But not pure aggression. Marcus spent the next hour working, first administering a mild sedative through a pneumatic injector from a safe distance. To his surprise, the Veerrath allowed it, perhaps recognizing that Marcus was trying to ease its suffering. As the sedative took effect, Marcus moved closer, applying regenerative gel to the burns, cleaning the wounds, administering broad-spectrum antibiotics adapted for exotic biology. The creature never stopped watching him. Those eyes, golden with flecks of green, tracked his every movement. Marcus found himself talking to it, explaining what he was doing, as if the Veerrath could understand. Perhaps it was the scientist in him, or perhaps it was simply the need to fill the silence with something other than his own hammering heartbeat. "You're far from home," Marcus murmured as he worked on a particularly nasty burn near the creature's spine. "Carnath Prime is 3 sectors away. Someone stole you, didn't they? Wanted to sell you to some collector or fighting pit." He shook his head. "That's not going to happen. Not if I can help it." When he finally stepped back, exhausted, Marcus's uniform was soaked with sweat. The Veer-Rath's breathing had eased. The wounds were stabilized. It wouldn't be running any marathons soon, but it would live. Marcus reported to Commander Crix, arguing passionately for the creature's life. The Veer-Rath was sentient enough to be protected under galactic convention. After heated debate and several calls to council representatives, it was agreed. The Veer-Rath would be rehabilitated and returned to Karnath Prime. Over the next 3 weeks, Marcus visited the bay daily. He changed dressings, monitored healing, and gradually reduced the sedatives. The Veer-Rath grew stronger, and something unexpected happened. It began to respond to Marcus's presence. Where it snarled at guards and station personnel, it remained calm when Marcus entered. Sometimes it would even lower its massive head, allowing Marcus to examine wounds without restraint. On the day of departure, Marcus stood in the bay one final time. The Veer-Rath was fully healed, its coat glossy, its movements powerful and fluid. A transport ship waited to take it home. Marcus felt an unexpected sadness. "You're going home, friend," he said. "Back where you belong." The Veer-Rath approached him, and Marcus tensed despite himself. But the creature simply lowered its head, pressing its muzzle gently against Marcus's chest. A gesture of, what, gratitude? Respect? Then it reached up with one massive paw and carefully, deliberately scratched a mark into the metal wall beside them. 3 parallel lines, clean and precise. Before Marcus could process what had happened, the creature turned and walked toward the transport. 6 months later, Marcus received a priority communication. A delegation from Karnath Prime had arrived at Kiro Station. They requested an audience with the human who healed Veer-Rath. The delegation leader, a scarred warrior bearing ceremonial armor, bowed to Marcus. "Our people do not forget debts of honor. The one you healed was no ordinary Veer-Rath. It was the last of the royal bloodline. You saved not just a life, but our entire legacy." They presented Marcus with a crystal pendant carved in the shape of those 3 parallel lines. "This is the mark of the pack," the warrior explained. "As long as you carry it, you carry our protection. No Veer-Rath will ever harm you. More than that, you are kin." Marcus stared at the pendant, then at the delegation. "I was just doing my job." The warrior's expression, so alien yet somehow readable, showed something like amusement. "Perhaps, but you did it with honor, with compassion. These are human traits we have come to respect." As the delegation departed, Commander Crix approached Marcus. "You realize what this means? You're probably the only being in the galaxy who can walk Karnath Prime without fear. That's unprecedented." Marcus smiled, closing his fingers around the pendant. He thought of the Veer-Rath, of those intelligent golden eyes, of the trust built in that quarantine bay. "Maybe that's why we're out here," Marcus said quietly. "Not just to explore or conquer or trade, but to heal, to connect, to prove that even the deadliest creatures in the galaxy can be understood, respected, and helped." "Very human of you, Doc," Crix said with approval. Marcus nodded. "Yeah, I suppose it is."